Welcome back to Nightwing. Now, this is the final issue of Dan Jurgens' run on the character. In this Nightwing number 77, and honestly, up to this point, we've had the Rick Grayson saga, the Joker War events, but that all doesn't matter because we're back to the original status quo of Nightwing. So you have been following this character for a while. Don't worry, you could dive into this issue, dive into this video, not knowing anything. Just enjoy the issue, enjoy this Christmas tale with Nightwing, the Bat family, and it's actually pretty cool. But also, stay tuned for the end of the video, because there's a couple announcements I want to go over and get my thoughts on about this character and what's happening with Nightwing coming in March. But yeah guys, if you're ready, let's dive into this issue. Now, we begin with Batman and Nightwing patrolling Gotham City on pretty much the night of Christmas Eve, right? Now, Batman says, "You are coming tomorrow, aren't you?" And Dick responds, "Still thinking about it." Now, he continues to say, "To be honest, I haven't decided yet." Now, Bruce says to him, "Tomorrow is Christmas, Dick. We want you there." And Dick responds to him, "With everything that's happened I've really been kicked around, Bruce." And Bruce says, "Which is why you should want a sense of normalcy by being with family." And Dick says, "You think so, right? But for the last few months, normalcy for me meant time with Beatrice, and I just walked away from that." Now, Bruce, as he goes off, says, "We'll settle it later. Right now, we've been requested at the Dexter and Technology offices." Now, Dick says, "Wait, it's a busy night and we have two things to take care of. Why don't we split up so we can make it an early night of it?" Now, Batman says, "Agreed. I'll take the Arkham Revolt. You can handle Dexter." Now, Dick says, "Why you get the fun job?" Now, Batman glides down onto this rooftop and says, "Who's to say how these things will turn out? All we can do is find the good in whatever we end up with." Now, that's when Nightwing shows up to Dexter and Technologies, and the boss says, "Why are you here? We were promised Batman." Now, one of the other owners say, "Yes, no offense, but we need the very best. You see, the simple truth is that our computer systems were hacked. Our operations, which are global, have been shut down." Now, the other owner says, "We're paralyzed, taken over by a group of foreign hostiles, or supervillains, calling themselves Nabstrack." Now, Dick says, "Likely a ransomware play." And the owner says, "You think?" Now, the other owner, the woman, says, "As CEO, I directed every resource we had to break their grip, but we got nowhere." And the other owner says, "That's why we sent for Batman. Everyone knows he's the best." Now, Nightwing pretty much puts his arms together and says, "Right, so how much are they asking for? 200-300 million? And that's when the computer tech guy says, "That's what's weird, dude. They asked for 2.76 million. And Nightwing says, "Strangely specific." And the owner says, "And moronic. It's worth 10 times that much." And Nightwing says, "Then why not write the check and be done with it?" Now the owner says, "Wish we could, but our investors are profit-oriented." The other owner, the CEO, says, "They want us to draw the line. When authorized payment, the ransom was $10. So either our own team solves this, which is doubtful," and the other boss says, "or you could call in Batman and bust the bastards." Now Nightwing says, "Look, it doesn't work that way. If they're in a foreign country, that's out of our territory." Now the computer tech guy says, "Nuh-uh. They had to have done it from the inside. In fact, dude, they're in the systems right now. Tracer shows them the building on the first floor." Now, Nightwing charges down the hallway, says, "On it." Now, he makes it down, and we see this one Santa Claus guy, right? This person dressed as Santa Claus. They're ringing this bell. Now, the Santa Claus says, "Collecting for the Coats for Kids charity. Please contribute." Now, Nightwing hits the ground in a superhero landing. Now, this woman says, "Hey, is that?" And another man says, "Nightwing." And another woman says, "Or some phony in a suit like Santa over there." Now, this other woman says, "Oh, that suit is most definitely real." Now, Nightwing then looks around the corner and sees these robbers coming to steal from Santa. They say, "Move it!" And Santa says, "Hey!" They take the little bucket with all the money. The Santa Claus points up. He says, "They robbed me." Now, Nightwing charges at these robbers. He shows up in the alleyway and uses acrobatic skills to take him out. He says, "Newsflash," and they say, "Nightwing." Now Nightwing says, "'Tis the season for giving, not taking." Now it kicks all in the face. You're a pack-at check. Now the robbers fall to the ground. And one tries to get up with a gun. He says, "Yeah, I got the perfect present for you." The man goes to shoot, but Nightwing throws his escrima sticks at this gun and dismantles this robber. The robber falls to the ground. You hear a chuck. Now, Nightwing kicks one of the other robbers to the ground. You hear a spock. And that's what Nightwing says. "Thought you'd be smarter. Sneak in, sneak out, and wait for your ransom. Would pulled it off if you didn't need cab fare." Now, that's when he goes up to this robber. He says, "Your turn." But the robber says, No, don't hit me. Cuff me, call the cops, whatever, I'm yours." Now, Nightwing pulls this robber close and says, "Release Dexatern systems from your control and you'll keep your teeth." Now, the robber says, "What are you talking about? Dex who?" And Nightwing says, "You're an abstract, right?" And the robber says, "I'm Skibble. That phony Santa gave us each $50 to put on a show by grabbing the cash." Now, Nightwing is confused. He got played. Now, it goes up to Dexter and Technologies back to the office, right? And one of the owners just starts yelling. He's like, "I thought you were supposed to be good at your job. That's why we want your boss, Batman." Now, Nightwing says, "He's not..." Never mind. Now, the woman, the CEO, says, "How bad is it?" Now, the computer tech guy says, "Worse. Even our internal communications are down. We can't do much as order a pizza." Now, the CEO says, "All orchestrated by a phony Santa standing on our doorstep." Now, that's when the computer tech guy says, "Must have really known his way around our network. I mean, near as I could tell, he did it all with a cell phone. That's like impossible." Now, Nightwing goes up to the boss. The boss says to him, "Hear that? You got outsmarted by 2-bit Kris Kringle with a burner." Now, Nightwing says, "For now, I'll have it fixed by morning. Count on it." Nightwing jumps out the window into the city. Now, you see the Santa Claus. The Santa Claus walks through the streets. Now, the Santa Claus makes it into the woods, into this one parking lot. And the Santa Claus goes up to this whole crowd of homeless people. Now, one of the old women who are homeless say, "Is that Clarissa?" And Clarissa says, "Hi, Agnes. Everything okay here?" And Agnes says, "What could possibly go wrong here in Pleasantville? Living the good life, so long as you don't want hot running water, electricity, food, or any of those trivialities." And that's when Clarissa, she says, "Silly me for asking, how's Macy?" Now Agnes says, "Fine as ever, but she gets fearful when you're gone." Now Clarissa moves her whole like Santa outfit off, right, and shows her face. And that's when her daughter runs by. She says, "Mama, you're home." And that's when Clarissa says, that I am, sweetie, for good. And that's what counts." Now Agnes says, "I've had dinner, Clarissa. Well, I could scrounge up anyway." Now the daughter says, "I'm still kinda hungry." Now Clarissa hugs her daughter and says, "Well, that's a good thing I brought a treat." She pulls up a chocolate bar, right, and says, "A kind woman dropped this in my collection kettle. Not the most nutritious thing in the world, but..." Now the daughter, Macy, says, "Candy, oh boy." Now they start to walk, and they walk into this tent, and the daughter, Macy, says, "Oh, it's Christmas. We might even get a visitor in our tent." Now, that's when they walk in, and Nightwing is there, and Nightwing says, "If you're going to set up a decoy operation, you should realize that trying to sneak away in a bright red coat doesn't work. Super easy to pick out on security and traffic cams. My advice, don't run. You can't possibly escape." Now, Clarissa says, "You're..." And Macy says, "Nightwing, Mama." And that's when Nightwing says, "Let's talk. It's pretty clear I need to know more about what's going on here." And that's when Nightwing continues to say, up to Clarissa's face, "This is not the high-tech hacker lab I expected from Abstract." Now, Clarissa says, "Who?" And Nightwing says, "Come on, I won't get played twice." Now, Clarissa sits down. She says, "How did I think I could get away with this?" Now, Macy goes up to Nightwing and says, "Are you going to arrest my mama?" And Nightwing says, "I'm here to listen, and she'll tell me her story." Now, Clarissa says how it's messy, just like life is messy. And she says, "I was working for a little startup called Tectonic. started right out of high school and became their star programmer. Dexatern acquired us a year ago. I was the one who created the premier software that caught their interest. They told me I was in line for a pension, benefits, and stock options. The whole package. Thought my life was set, but all Dexatern's investors cared about was the IP. Once they understood how to grow it, they laid all of us originals off and took what we created. The suits upstairs didn't care about us as people. They're more about stripping the company down to nothing so it looks mega profitable and they can flip it for a big money. In this environment, with all that's going on in the world, finding a new job is impossible. Now, Nightwing goes up to her and says, "You decided to hit back that specific 2.76 million. And Clarissa says, is the money I calculated I make by working there until the day I retire. In my book, given what I created for them, that's what I'm owed." Now, Nightwing says, generally I solve problems by punching people out, but it's rare that I get to help someone directly. Now, Clarissa says, "What are you saying?" And Nightwing says, "That tonight, I get to break the molds." Now, Macy says, "You won't arrest my mama? She can stay?" And Nightwing kneels down to the daughter, to Macy, and says, "For sure. Be ready to go tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock sharp. A car will take you to this address." Now, what happens is we see Macy and Clarissa, they get in this one limousine, right? They go with Dick Grayson. Now, Dick Grayson takes them to Bruce Wayne. Now, Bruce Wayne says, "Welcome." And Clarissa says, "Is that?" And Dick Grayson says, "Bruce Wayne." Now, Bruce goes up to them and says, "Yes, and I'd like to welcome you to the Pickle One apartment complex." Clarissa says, "We're here. Why?" And Bruce says, "Nightwing reached out to let me know that you need a place to live. As I happen to own this building, well, I'd like you to be my first residence. All expenses paid, of course." Now, Clarissa says, oh my, look, this is very generous. I really thank you, Mr. Wayne, but I can't possibly say yes." And that's when Bruce looks down and says, "Of course you can. I'm still privileged enough to have the resources to..." And that's when Clarissa looks down and says, "You don't understand. The encampments under the bridge, well, I have friends there. Agnes and many others. They depend on me. I can't walk away from them. I just can't." A tear goes down her face. But Bruce brings them in close and says, "I should have been clear, Clarissa. This is for you, Macy, and all your friends. In fact, they're here right now." Now you see a bus of homeless people. They come by and they're allowed to live at this apartment. Now Clarissa and Macy, they hug Bruce Wayne and they're really happy. Now Dick says, "Should I take the car to retrieve their belongings, Mr. Wayne?" And Bruce smiles and says, "Please do, Mr. Grayson. After that, I trust we'll see you at the new house." Now we see the Bat family at Wayne Manor. That's when Bruce says, "No child, no person should have to wake up in a tent made of blankets and call it home." Now, Barbara says, "You're so right, Bruce. Nice that you still have a place you could let them have." Now, Dick says, "He may not be the billionaire he was, but he's still a play, Barbara." And Bruce says, "Yes, even enough to furnish the apartments with decent furniture and stock all the refrigerators." And Barbara says, "They'll enjoy a very special Christmas, thanks to you." Now, Dick says, "Still sucks Clarissa lost her job. Any chance you can find something for her at Wayne Enterprises?" Now, Bruce says, "Done. I made some calls, and Wayne Enterprises is now buying Dexatern. Clarissa and the other ex-employees can have their jobs back." Now, Dick says, "Wow, the rare happy ending. If Alfred were here, he'd have a big smile on his face." Barbara says, "We're all thinking about him." And Dick says, "Yeah, he is the best. Taught me how to take the negatives that life throws at you, find what's good, and persevere. Thanks to that kind of coaching, I made my way back. Thank you, Alfred. I hope you know we're together. In the end, that's what matters most. Happy holidays, everyone." And all the Bat family, they put their cups up and they say, "Happy holidays," and they have a nice Christmas. And that's how we end Nightwing number 77. So yeah guys, that was Nightwing number 77, and it was a solid final issue for Dan Jurgens' run. We have Nightwing going on a case, he ends up helping out some people, and then we have like a nice scene with the Bat family at the end, where they remember Alfred, and just be together in that moment on Christmas Day. I really like that. It was a good end to this entire series, but in terms of the writing for this issue, there's not that much to talk about. It's solid, we got good dialogue, some really nice scenes, but nothing like to theorize or anything big, right? It's just a decent Christmas tale. Now, the art by Ronan Klinkwetz, it fits the Christmas holiday spirit, right? And it's good artwork, but not amazing. But yeah, guys, overall, I'm gonna give this issue a 7 out of 10. It's passable, it's good. If you don't have money to really read this issue, you can skip it. It's nothing big for Nightwing as a character, but if you just want a really cool Christmas tale and some good moments with the Bat family, especially some good moments between Batman and Nightwing, then check it out. But guys, before we close this video, I want to talk about the announcement that Tom Taylor is coming to Nightwing. He'll be the writer of the new relaunched Nightwing series in March after Feature State with Bruno Redondo as the artist, right? And guys, they're the team that did the Injustice comics, and Bruno Redondo, I've already seen some preview images of him drawing like Nightwing and the whole city that Nightwing will be in. I'm not sure if Nightwing is in like Gotham or Bloodhaven yet. I'm not sure if they revealed that. If they did, tell me down below. It'll be cool if Nightwing goes back to Bloodhaven, but for now though, the artwork looks amazing, and Tom Taylor, he's an amazing writer. He's one of the best writers at DC. He's done that great Suicide Squad series. He does Injustice Year Zero. He does the DC's whole saga of DC's Hope at World's End, DC's Dead Planet. Pretty much all the comics that you love at DC, most likely a lot of them are being written by Tom Taylor right now. You may disagree with that, but I think he's a great writer. I'm excited to see him try to tackle Nightwing as a character in March. But yeah, guys, if you like the video, get a big thumbs up. New to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my next Nightwing video. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.